been a while since I've really posted to social media lately. I've been kind of doing one here or there where I'm sure a lot of you, if you've been following me for a while, are used to me posting on our YouTube channel quite often. But between Easter and I have 7-week courses for school. We are on week 6 starting Sunday, so things are getting really serious as far as finals are concerned. And man, it is a lot. After this, summer will be here and I'll drop down to only 2 classes for the entire summer as far as I can see. I don't plan on taking a full course load, and these are just a little extra to get me ahead. But I don't know if I'll be posting any more then either, because summer is also a really busy time with the garden, so we'll see what happens. But look at this. So this is just kind of a heat lamp with a regular light bulb inside of it. It's nothing really crazy or fancy, but we needed a light out here, and so this will just turn on like this and I'll be able to see, and it also makes it easy without having to keep like a light on all the time in here until we can get a more permanent light. Now, my husband installed this and it's been really cool and extremely helpful to have because it has everything. The lights for outside. I also think the pump for the pond is connected here, and then it connects the radiant heat lamp. So this has made a pretty good difference, so I don't have to keep lights on 24/7 because I really don't like lighting the coop during the winter or all day and night. I just don't think it's that great for our birds. Just my personal opinion. I do not give artificial lighting during the winter. I just let the animals have their time off. Although, because our adult animals are ducks and geese, our geese did lay their nests during December, the month of December, and then she started sitting. And our ducks lay throughout the window. Wow. They lay throughout the winter. They will lay, a lot of times they start laying in October and lay all the way through until summer gets really hot. But we get a pretty decent amount of eggs. Right now I only have 4 adult hens because we cut down our flock so significantly. And yet I'm still, there are 2 eggs right here in this nest on the ground. And hold on, I'll show you. 2 eggs right here, and sometimes they bury eggs, but I didn't see any buried. And there's one all the way over on the other side, just randomly laid in the run. So they are all laying really well, which is cool. Hi, sweet babies. Today I want to focus on these guys. So when I have the ducklings and I come out here, you can see like everything's soaked. With these guys, not so much, and they're also kicking the shavings as they scratch around. So usually, the shavings compound, they get really wet and smushed together, and I just pull this out. This is a little different. So you can see the cardboard. I always lay cardboard down, especially for our rabbits or ducklings, so the shavings stay in and water doesn't go through for the ducks. But for rabbits, it's because I don't like when they get sore hocks. And when they're in their cages resting, I will lay down cardboard and put shavings in there to save their little feet. It breaks my heart to see when they get sore hocks. Can you imagine sitting on cage wire? That's just horrible. So we let our rabbits out. We do let them exercise and run around. We let them come in the house and hang out. And of course, rabbits can be territorial, so they like their own space. So I also like to keep cardboard and shavings in their houses. So this is the baby chicks. We also will keep ducklings in here when they phase out of the house and they get too big. So you can see just how incredibly active they are. And I was surprised because this is usually when I come out and change the shavings. I don't know how that's going to work this time. Maybe I'll just add shavings to this. But you can see they've kicked out a huge portion of shavings, and there's a lot right here and all over the pen, or they just kicked them all out. So I think that's a little different. I'm used to how incredibly messy ducklings are, so this is a change. The biggest issue is that I just filled this water this morning and they've gotten shavings all in this water. So that's the biggest issue I've had with the chickens and the shavings. Whereas the ducks, I mean, we don't usually get a chance to get shavings in the water because they come and they kick all the water out, cleaning in themselves and just playing in it overall. So that's a big difference. I'm always amazed at how long the water lasts. In fact, for chickens, it lasts so long that I need to come change it out before it usually gets empty, because I don't want water just sitting here for days and days at a time. Whereas with the ducks, I mean, I'm changing the water several times a day because they're just getting it everywhere and making a sloppy, nasty mess. And if you look at this, these are those tiny chickens that I'm asking. A few of you have commented some different ideas that they could be, and I'm really excited to see how they grow out to be. Some said suramas, some said there are a couple other birds. I can't think exactly what they are, but they're still much smaller than the rest of the birds. You can see this guy compared to the rest of them, and those are the newest hatchlings. These yellow guys and this one over here that's a little darker, they all hatched from that last video I posted about hatching chicks. Whereas these, this one right here was one that I said it's amazing because the day old chicks were taller than it was, even though it was over a week old, well over, and maybe close to 2 weeks. And so now it's getting close to being fully feathered, and it's still extremely small, and I still have no idea what they are. I've heard of different things. I know someone mentioned maybe a Sicilian buttercup, but that's not possible because the type of comb they have. It appears that they do have a single comb. And it looks like we ended up with 2 boys because they have pretty good sized comb versus this baby that doesn't. I think that that's pretty cool. I did see our local feed store does say they sell well bars. Now, those are not going to be good quality. They're hatchery quality. And I don't know a lot about well bars, but the color pattern did seem to kind of match up. But who knows? They're definitely not speckled Sussex. That was one of the suggestions because they don't have any of that speckling or that kind of nice, deep, rich mahogany colored feathering. So I have no idea what they could be still, but I am curious to kind of watch. They're just very small, but they're very cute, and they're very, very good temperamental birds. They just have such a sweet temperament. Good temperamental birds, guys. I cannot talk today. You know what I meant. They have a good temperament. They're very calm. They're very active, but they're very sweet. So the only downside is it looks like we do have 2 roosters, and that's just not going to work out for us. We're going to have to get rid of one of them. And these 2, you can see the difference in the comb. This guy versus this one. And her comb is not there at all. So they do look a bit different. And then if you also see, we have these little turkins. We got 2 of those from the feed store. And we only got them about a week and a half ago. So they're a little younger than the rest of them, but they're holding their own. They're doing really well, and they're really friendly. They often come to the front of the cage and just want to hang out and say hi, and they're super cute. So my son picked those out. Oh, he wants to run away. So all this, I'll come in and put shavings down again since they've kicked out all the shavings. And this scratching that they're doing now, that's why all the shavings are missing. And then look at these guys. They are massive. Those are the ones that we hatched out ourselves. Look at that. And that cool feathering. Now, some of them have a lot of green in their feet. You may not be able to see in the camera, but they do have a green tint to a lot of their legs, especially the darker color bird. And then all of them have feathers on their feet. So it should be interesting to kind of see, because they were hatched from eggs that were a mixed flock. I mean, and I didn't get to see all of the birds that she had. It's just a very mixed flock. It'll be interesting to see how they grow out, but their coloring's definitely interesting, especially these. These girls have some pretty unique colors to them. They're all pretty good size. They're all very active. Based off tail feathering, I see some have some saddle feathers, and that's where the male roosters, those really long feathers that are kind of pointy, come into play. And when you have a chick that's a young rooster, also known as a cockerel, they start getting their saddle feathers, and they often get them before the girls get fully feathered tails, and that's a pretty good indication that you have a boy right there. So something to watch out for if you're kind of curious. You can see this guy here is probably a rooster and has some pretty long tail feathers, but also a couple of them are kind of pointy, and I really think that that's a male. And then same for one of those larger birds. They're extremely active. I find that ducklings sleep a lot more than chickens do, and honestly I think that's because ducklings grow at such a rapid rate. Like, it is ridiculous how big ducks get and how quickly. And same for geese. Geese grow really fast too. But these chickens, I did find, so I was amazed because it seems that although chickens grow in size a little slower than ducks, they feather out pretty quick. I was amazed seeing, you know, these week-old birds getting feathers on their wings and tails, just feathering out so rapidly. So that was a change for me. I thought they were a little older. I was like, surely these aren't day-old birds. They're feathering out so quick. But when I hatched our own and then saw that within a week they had a pretty good amount of feathers coming in on their tails and on their wings, I was kind of amazed. I was like, well, this is so different than raising ducks. We have raised chickens before. It's been a while since we raised chicks. It's been a few years. And it's probably been 2 years since I even posted a video about baby chicks, and those we didn't even keep, you know. So it's pretty crazy going back to chickens, because I do love ducks a lot, but some of my boys prefer chicken eggs, plus they can scratch up our gardens and kind of scratch up the pathways without leaving a huge mess. So I'm going to put a little house on a couple of the pathways, probably have more than one, that's portable, with nesting boxes and roosts, just a small complete house with a little run. What I'm going to do is put it in the walkways and let these birds dig up all of the grass and the insects that are in between the mulch pathways to our garden. And I think that would be a really cool way to both add to the soil health and add nutrients that'll break down over time, but also control the pest and the weeds without me having to do the work. And the bonus is that it feeds my birds, so it cuts down on our feed costs, but also keeps them from being bored, it keeps them active, and it keeps them safe, because we have a huge amount of hawks flying around. I mean, I saw one on my porch this morning, which was insane. Those red-breasted hawks, they're everywhere here. And also, before we even moved in here, there was a family of great horned owls in the neighbor 2 houses over palm tree, and they adore these owls. And overall, they haven't been a huge issue. It was a huge issue when we first moved here, because they would actually, when they were raising babies one year, I came out and caught one of the owls using its talons, its claws, to rip through the predator wire of my rabbit cage, trying to get the baby rabbits out. That freaked me out a little bit. It scared me, it scared the owl, the rabbits were freaked out. And if you don't know rabbits, it does not take a lot to really scare them. I have seen rabbits get so scared that they just drop dead. One year, a pack of dogs came out into our yard. They got into our backyard, and they did not physically grab any rabbits, hardly. Like 1 or 2 were out, But what happened was there were a pack of 5 smaller dogs. They were barking at the cages and scaring the rabbits, and that in itself caused a lot of our rabbits to die. It really startled them. And so that was crazy, because before then I wasn't sure that I believed that rabbits could just drop dead from fear. I was like, that's preposterous. That sounds insane, you know? It doesn't make sense. Well, guess what? There's some truth to it, and it can be very devastating. So that's something to watch out for. Because I think it makes it a little more difficult not waiting for just a physical attack on your animals. Just something as simple as an animal getting in and really scaring your animals literally to death. It's just awful. And since we were actively doing some pretty major shows for 4-H, and just rabbit shows in general that weren't connected to 4-H, it was really heartbreaking when we lost a significant amount of our herd. I was just like, oh, that's horrible. Look at you guys. Isn't it amazing how active they are? Ducks will not go through and scratch up the ground like this. They have those huge feet, and they just basically smash everything to death and get it wet. But it's really cool to see chickens actively scratching. Now, ducks can dig. Our ducks dig out nests in the ground and even bury their eggs with twigs, pine shavings, whatever they can find. And sometimes I don't even see the duck's nests because they're camouflaged so well. That especially happens when they get broody. If you take the duck's eggs, they will bury them. But the chickens, I've never seen them bury an egg. And our geese also bury eggs. And what happens is they bury them, and then they'll dig them up every day, lay a new egg, bury that. And then when they're ready to lay, they'll just dig them all up and sit on them. And they usually don't have a lot of time to sit on them because we are in Southeast Texas. It is so warm here. During the summer, you better hope you're getting those eggs out of the coop about every day, because they will get so hot out here. They're incubating themselves in the dirt. It's almost like how a turtle incubates their eggs. And so by the time they lay enough eggs to sit, a good portion of those eggs are already sometimes 2 weeks into the process. I had a duck wait until there were like 30-40 eggs in the nest, which is insane. But I wanted to see how long it would take. And she was really only able to sit on about 25 of those eggs. But within a week, eggs were already hatching within a week of her growing broody. And 10 or 12 of those eggs just hatched. And we ended up having to put the rest in the incubator because, of course, once the babies hatched, she lost interest in the rest of the nest. And so we incubated the rest of them. But it was just so funny that the heat, hot and humid weather really incubated the nest before she even started sitting. So that's a really good reason to be on top of your egg getting game during the summer. So look at these two. Those black chickens are black onyx chickens. And I called the feed store and said, hey, do you have any broilers? And they said, no, but we do have these dual purpose broilers. It's the first time ever getting them. And they were these two black onyx chicks. And I was like, these are really friendly. They're really cute. They're both females. And the chickens are both females too. So I was like, okay, well, let's see, how they turn out. So I went home and I did a Google search, and it turns out black onyx chicks are actually a cross between broilers and silkies. And what it is, it's to fit into that unique market for dark-skinned birds. And I guess it's kind of trying to copy a little bit of the solid black birds, but this one's more for meat and not just to be pretty. And the other ones people eat too, but I thought, well, it does create, a unique dark meat bird because their skin is black. Underneath all their feathers, their skin is black. I've not checked their mouths to see if they're black, and I don't think that they would be because they are a cross between a white broiler or a red broiler and, a silky. So the funny thing is, because of their silky ancestry, some of them come out with 5 toes. So this one over here actually has the 5 toes that a silky has, where this little black one just has the 4 toes. And it'll be interesting to see how they grow. Now, right now, they are not growing like a typical broiler at all. And I think with the silky genes, they're just going to be a bit smaller. It says they average about 6 pounds at 14 weeks. But I don't think I see that happening because look how tiny they are still. So I'm thinking they'll probably lay small eggs. Broilers actually will lay a pretty good sized white egg, but many of them don't reach egg laying age. Some do, but they don't lay a lot, and it's not healthy for them because they're bred to grow really, really fast without any hormones. They just reach an astronomical size in a short period of time, often so quickly that it's bad for their heart, lungs, their bones. It's not good for the bird to be around for much longer than that. You can reduce that by reducing feed, but they burn off so much energy. You really do have to be careful. Are you guys fighting over who's gonna sit on top of the water container? So these will be an interesting, I don't know what you call it. I'm not even sure it's an experiment, but it will be interesting to watch them grow since they're supposed to be a dark meat broiler, but without any of the issues with the bones. And you can't even compare them to the Freedom Ranger because they're half silky. So it'll be interesting to watch them grow. If anyone's ever grown the black onyx chicks, just let me know. I mean, it's a very different bird to have, and you can see some of the effects that the silky genes have, from the toes to some of the feathering. It's a little different from bird to bird. But the funny thing about black onyx is they can actually be red in color. So they can be black or they can be red, like kind of a rusty orange. And a variation of them. So they're not even necessarily black. I think it just refers to their skin color because even the reddish birds have that deep black skin. What are you guys doing? My geese are very concerned with what I'm doing right now. And I need to get the shavings from, they're in my house right now, and bring those out here. And then I guess I need to really start feeding and watering everybody because they eat so much lately. They were all standing behind me, but the minute I closed the cage door, they started running off. It's been raining again, so the weirdness of the mud is back. Hey guys! Can you believe those baby geese are only 3 months old? They are massive. Sometimes it's a little more difficult to tell who's who now that the babies have their neck feathers in, and that's a good way to age geese because the baby geese until about 3 months of age don't have the ruffles around their necks that adult geese have. But now that they do, it's a little more difficult to tell. I really do think I have 2 females and 1 male of the goslings. Now, that bigger gosling is not growing any taller yet, but its head and neck are massive compared to the other geese. And there's a huge difference between the size of Dorian's head and neck and Nemo, so I really think that one of them could be a gander, but we won't really know until it gets a little bit older, and then the sheer difference in size will start to show, because Dorian is huge compared to all the other geese. So I guess that's about it for today. I'm gonna get everyone fed and watered, get some stuff done around the house, and then I have to start on my homework. So that'll be fun. And I guess if I'm a little slow on posting videos, just know that it is a crazy time of year with the second spring semester coming to an end and summer starting. So transitioning to another year in school, and I'm really excited. So not too much longer and I'll be done with that and off to my master's program, but it is a lot of work, so I won't always be here posting as actively. There will be weeks where I post every day, and there will be weeks where you may see 1 or 2 posts because things just get wild around here. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and listening to me go on and on about my chickens randomly. I'm really excited about them. And I wasn't at first. You know, those are my boys' project, but now I can see like so many uses and benefits of them besides just the eggs. I'm really excited to kind of put them into this permaculture system that we have up front. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoy your weekend and have a great weekend.